Thank you to everybody for joining today. What we've done is, as you're probably aware, we've been releasing a lot of new functionality in the system over the last 18 months. And something that we wanted to do was to put together a bit of a webinar to just take you through sort of how you can utilize a lot of the stuff that we've been implementing, specifically for e-commerce fulfillment. So this could be for your own business if you're a brand, or as a 3PL if you're a 3PL. Who are we? So my name's Vincent. I'm a co-founder of the business and chief product officer. So I work with our engineering and product teams to kind of come up with what we're going to be building and developing next on the software. With me, I've got both Scott and Gigi, who are assisting with the Q&A chat today. So by all means, as we go along, feel free to ask questions in the Q&A panel. There should be a little panel that you can access and just put questions in there. And these guys will assist you. So this webinar has been put together for both 3PLs and 1PLs or brands. And we've put it together for those who are looking to venture into e-commerce fulfillment for the first time. So it could be that, you are, say, not currently fulfilling e-commerce orders. You might be fulfilling something else. You may not be doing any fulfillment operations currently, but you want to learn sort of more about how to do this, potentially best practices there. And then as well, I think this will be valuable for those who are already fulfilling e-commerce orders, but they just want to improve their operations. So very useful for both of those sort of groups. What we'll be covering in the session today is, first of all, just going through some of the core differences between, say, e-commerce orders and other types of orders. So things like food and beverage, or like bulk goods, and how the types of orders can differ there. We'll then be taking you through sort of three different ways of processing e-commerce orders, dependent on the type of orders that you're receiving. As part of this, we'll be covering off a bunch of our recent enhancements, and also some upcoming enhancements as well. So things that we're currently working on to make the e-commerce fulfillment side even more powerful. Lastly, I'll be going through where you can find out more information. And at the end, there's an opportunity for sort of Q&A as well, if you have further questions that you haven't already put into the chat and had answered as we're going along. So again, feel free to put questions in there as we're going through. Before we just get into the e-commerce specific stuff, I just wanted to point out something that we've just put out as well. So we've recently released a 3PL marketing guide, and we did this because we quite regularly have customers reaching out to us and sort of asking us, like, hey, I've got this business. I'd like to try and bring on some more customers. Do you have any suggestions for how I could potentially, market my business better, or attract more customers, or potentially attract better customers? And we work with obviously a lot of 3PL businesses, and we sort of put together a guide, like an ebook basically, of some of the things that we've seen that work really well. Some of them are very much basics, but we're often surprised at how many customers have not done them. Things like making sure that they have their business listed on Google, and that their address on there is up to date and accurate, and their phone numbers and contact details are accurate, all the way through to things like how you can potentially run Google ads or social ads or other things to promote your business. And this is particularly important in the e-commerce space as well, because so much of it is digitally focused. Making sure that you have a bit of a digital presence for your business is quite important to bringing on customers as well. Now you can access this. I'm just going to get one of our team to post a link to this into the webinar chat as well, so you can just directly access it from there. To begin, I just want to sort of show an overview of the entire kind of end-to-end e-commerce flow. So e-commerce orders tend to originate from some of these e-commerce systems or e-commerce platforms, such as Shopify, WooCommerce. I mean, we also see orders coming through from systems like Facebook and TikTok and that kind of stuff now as well. Generally, these orders come straight into the CartonCloud API, and they can be used through our Click and Connect integrations. They can be connected up through Zapier. They can also just be connected up by technical people that want to build kind of specific integrations for systems. They then come into the system, and this is where I'm going to be covering off majority of the stuff today, which is really about how do you process those orders efficiently inside of your organization. And so I'll be covering like the bulk of the conversation today will be focused on this area and making sure that you can do this really well. Lastly, once you go to ship those orders out, this is generally where things go on to typically sort of nationwide or potentially worldwide carriers. And, we integrate with applications like Starship It, Ship It, ShipStation, MarkShip, all of these different, what we kind of refer to as like freight aggregators or sort of shipping booking systems, giving you exposure to all of these other carriers as well. Sorry, as I mentioned, this will be the key focus of today's area. So this will be the key focus of today's conversation. So bringing you into the key differences with e-commerce, a typical difference that we see between this and other types of orders, particularly in comparison to, say, bulk goods, is that generally the number of orders that you process with e-commerce is much, much higher. It's quite common to have customers that can be sending through hundreds, if not potentially thousands of orders per day, particularly if they have sales. It can also be quite you can have very big peaks and troughs as well, where they might be doing promotions and suddenly they'll get a very large number of orders. As part of that, generally orders are quite a lot smaller physically. So it's very common for items to be, just in small boxes or satchels, as opposed to being large things that need to be transported on, say, bulk carriers. The per order margins can be very low. So if you're a 3PL, you may be used to being able to charge, say, a reasonable amount of money or quite a decent amount of money per order. But with e-commerce orders, often you'll find that you have to be quite competitively priced on that per order fee in order to attract the work. And that's simply because there's so many more orders. So what this requires is very efficient picking and packing processes to be able to do that sort of in a profitable way. Something else to keep in mind is that the average number of items per order tends to vary by the industry of what you're shipping as well. So if you're, say, in the space of doing, say, food and beverage, you generally have a much higher number of items per order than if you're, say, sending out consumer goods or fashion and apparel. And this is just something to consider when you're quoting customers for doing this type of work, is to sort of look at this, because if you're charging, say, per item pick fees, if you're only shipping out, say, one item per order, that's obviously significantly less revenue than if you're shipping out 7 items per order. So just something to be wary of there, and to know that about your customers sort of before quoting them. And as I spoke about before, generally we see that e-commerce orders are shipped on kind of the major nationwide couriers or sort of domestic like post systems as well, as opposed to going on, say, more bespoke kind of bulk carriers and that kind of thing. What I'm going to be covering today is 3 different workflows that you can use to process these orders efficiently. So the first is when you have a large number of identical orders. And this can occur when you have, say, a large promotion go. So let's just say a fashion brand, they may have, say, introduced a new line, or potentially they've run some kind of influencer marketing, for example. And all of a sudden you get, say, hundreds, if not potentially a few thousand orders for exactly the same item. And the way that you process that is you can actually do this very, very efficiently, and quite different to how you would process orders that contain, say, different items between the orders or multiple items per order. So we're going to go through that one first. Then we'll move on to how you can process single item orders. So these are orders where each order only contains a single SKU and a single quantity, but the orders are different from one another in some way. You might have some which are the same, but there are not enough that are the same to, say, warrant using the identical order flow. Lastly, I'll then take you through how you can process multi-item orders. So these are orders that contain, say, more than one SKU, or potentially more than one quantity of a particular SKU. And we generally recommend that you process the orders in this order as well. So first deal with everything which is identical, then move on to the single item orders, then move on to the multi-item orders. And that way you can kind of keep things moving out of your warehouse much, much more efficiently. So lots of identical orders. I'll take you through this approach first. The way that we recommend doing this is by using a split pick and pack wave. So basically you group these orders together into a wave, and then but rather than taking them through and processing the orders one by one on the pack side, you can actually just skip that entire process and just mark everything as being finished and basically just bulk print your labels and attach them to those. So I'll do this now. What I'm just going to do is adjust my screen share slightly so that you can see my mobile phone as well. So just give me 1 second here. And I'll jump across to the web application as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is construct a wave, and I'm going to construct a split pick and pack wave. For anyone that has been using our wave picking functionality for, say, more than, over the last 6 months, would have seen that we've made a bunch of enhancements in here in terms of what you can search for and how you can break things down. So one of the things that we've added is these product filters, and this enables you to narrow down the orders that you attach to the wave based on products that they contain. So in this case, I've got a company called The Coffee Company. They're a coffee roaster or a coffee distributor. And I could see from some orders coming in that they'd run a promotion on a product called Brazil Roast. So I've got a lot of orders for Brazil Roast that I need to process out more quickly. So by bringing up this filter and then hitting search, this brings me up just the orders that contain Brazil Roast. And one of the things you can see down here is we've added in the ability to see the number of SKUs and the amount of quantity on each of these orders as well. So I can see straight away, cool, these first 4, they are just a single SKU, single quantity. These orders are all identical because they all contain this Brazil Roast product. These 2 at the bottom, they contain multiple SKUs and multiple quantity. So I don't really want to include those in my identical order flow at the moment. Now, if you want to, you can also just narrow this down by using these filters. So we've got some useful stuff in here, such as you can filter by the SKU count. So if I just type a 1 into this, how many, like from and to, search for that, it just shows me only orders that contain up to 1 SKU. And this can be quite handy if you've got, say, several hundred orders or 1,000 orders. You don't have to go through this page kind of unselecting all the ones that contain more than 1 SKU. You can just narrow down the search from here. So I can then select all of these and hit Begin Wave Pick. Now this has constructed a wave for me. I can see that it's added these 4 orders onto that wave. And what I'm going to do is pick this using the mobile app. So I'm going to jump into the wave picking mode, which is here. And then this will bring up my my split pick and pack order for dealing with this one. So I'm going to jump into that and go into the picking mode. Now, when you're picking these types of orders, what we recommend doing is having, say, a trolley or some kind of large box or something like that you can basically just put all of the items into. I mean, if you're shipping so many that they're just all sitting on a pallet, then you can just pull the pallet out of the location and bring it back to a packing area where you can slap labels on it. But the intention here is, you don't need to sort these by order. You can just pick them all together at once. I was just turning on my barcode scanner so that I can go through some of this process. So in the warehouse, you could come up to this location, AA0101. You could scan that location if you wanted to. You can also, in this case, I don't have any location barcodes here to scan, but I'm just going to jump straight into the products tab. And effectively, if I came up to this Brazil Roast product and scanned a bag of that, I can scan that. It jumps me straight into the screen. I can keep scanning each bag to confirm that it's the right product, sorry, I just scanned the wrong barcode there from my sheet, or I can just type in the number here. So if I just type in 4 and hit complete, it's basically just gone and picked all 4 of those. So that's everything that I need for this particular wave. I'll then hit continue to pack. And this then takes me through to the packing area where I can then pack basically each of these orders individually if I wanted to. But in this case, I don't want to do that. Rather than have to go through and process these one by one, because they're all identical, what I want to do is actually just bulk print all of the shipping labels for these and just mark this wave as completed. And then at the packing station, I can just go through and effectively just put a label on each of those bags of product because every order is the same. So I'm just going to refresh this wave pick page over here so that it has that these items are all picked. And if I wanted to, I can select all of these. I can then come in here. If you have your shipping integration set up against consignments, then you can print your consignment labels. If you have it set up against the sales orders, then you can print your sales orders from here, and that would then say do the like get the label from Starship it, etc., and print it out. And then basically once you're done with that, you've got all of your labels. You can just mark these orders as packed. So if I just hit this button, I can just say, oh, yeah, update those, mark selected as packed, and then complete the wave. And so that's a super efficient way of processing these orders when you've got multiple orders which are all identical. You don't have to go through and pack them one by one. You can just skip that whole process and start applying the labels. The next example that I'm going to take you through is when you have single item orders. So these are multiple orders, each of which contain a single SKU. But the SKUs on the different orders, some of them may be the same, some of them may be different, but there's not enough kind of just exactly the same product that I bothered creating an identical style wave. So I still need to go through and deal with these orders and pack them one by one at the end. So the beginning is exactly the same. I'm going to use the split pick and pack wave. Again, I would just pick everything to a trolley or a large tote, or something I can just put every item into. But then rather than bypass the packing process, I'm going to use this thing that we just released late last year called Pack by SKU. And this is quite a neat feature where rather than having to go into an order and then try and find the correct product for that order, I can actually just pick up a product from the trolley or from the tote, scan it, and it will bring me into the order that requires that item. And that makes it, very, very fast because I'm never having to try and look for anything. I just scan the item and it will take me to an order that requires that item. So I'll take you through that process now. So again, from the wave picks, I'm going to go add wave pick. I'll do another one for a single customer for the coffee company. Again, I want it to be a split pick and pack process, and I'll search here. Now I've got several different orders here. I've got some that contain multiple SKUs and multiple quantity, as I showed before. I've also got these ones down here that just contain a single SKU and a single quantity. Now, what I can do here is, again, I can just use this limit to limit the SKU count. So if I go, up to one SKU, search for that, it drops this down. If I wanted to limit it as well to just up to one quantity, I can do that too. In this case, the SKU count, that's actually not needed because I can just limit it by the quantity. And then it basically brings up all these orders. Now, I know none of these orders will contain that Brazil roast product because I dealt with those ones before. So these are all orders that are for other items. So I'll select all of these. And again, I'll just create my wave. So begin wave pick. That's gone and created it. I can see that there's a total of 3 orders. 2 of them must be requiring this Costa Rica roast, and 1 of them is requiring this Aussie blend beans. So I'll just reload the wave pick screen over here. And again, the picking process is exactly the same. So I'll just go through product by product. So I'll start by just scanning that Aussie blend item. That just marks that off. Fantastic. If I don't have barcodes, you can just tap into these items. So if I tap here on the screen, I can just enter the quantity and hit complete. And that's my whole wave picked. So I've got all 3 of those items now. They're all just sitting on my trolley and I can push them back to a pack station. So I'm going to continue to pack. Now here, as you saw before, I've got all the orders listed on the mobile app. But now, rather than going into each of these orders and then trying to find the item, I'm just going to pick up a product that I've picked and scan it. So I'm first of all going to scan the Aussie blend product that I picked before. So I'll scan that. And as you can see, what it's done is it's looked at the orders that I've got as part of this wave, and it's realized, okay, this particular order, which is going to Barefoot Barista, that order requires Aussie blend beans and it's not yet been picked. So let's open up that one and then they can proceed. You can proceed with sort of marking that order as packed. Um, we also have some smarts in here. So let's say that you use pack by SKU for orders that contain more than one item. We do some pretty clever stuff. Like we look at the orders and we determine um, are there any orders that only require this item? And if so, we'll load those before the orders that require other items. And the reason why we do that is to sort of get rid of those smaller orders first, so that at the end of the process is the only time you're looking for other items in your on your trolley or in your tote. With the single item orders, you don't really have that issue because every order only contains one item. So you just pick it up, scan it, and you're done. Okay, so I'm going to hit finish packing down here. Fantastic. And now, again, I can come and just print out my carrier label from here. But I just want to show you something. We just introduced this. This got released on Wednesday last week, and we've introduced it into the picking mode. Then you can access that while you're picking the order. But we've also put it here as well so that you can do this when you're finished packing. And basically, if you tap on this photos button, it brings up this new screen where you can, it's the same as what we have for the purchase orders, where you can attach photos and videos and stuff like that when you're receiving stock. But now you can do that on the way out. So I can go in here and choose between it's a packing confirmation, enter some text. I can decide whether I want my customer to be able to see this or not. And then, of course, take photos using the camera, upload from gallery, add a video, that kind of thing. Something just super useful if you want to, say, photograph a box before you close it so that you can, snap an image of all of those items right before it gets shipped out. Very handy tool. I'm just going to back out of that. So I would print my labels at this point, put that on the box. I'm just going to hit this close button down here, and then that order is now complete, and then I can just move on to the next one. So I'll do the same process. I pick up the next item from my trolley. In this case, it's the Costa Rica roast. I'll scan that. Again, it figured out, it looked at both orders and went, there's two orders that require this, and just loaded one of them. It's marked that item is packed. I can hit finish packing. I would print my label again, leave that screen, and then just do that for the last one. So very efficient process when you're dealing with single item orders. And you can do this for a large number of orders. Like we allow you to create wave picks that contain up to 250 orders at a time. So it can be, very, very efficient in that way. Cool. So I'm finished with all of those orders. Can hit complete wave, and that's now done. And these wave picks, when they're completed, they just go under this completed tab as well. All right, so that's single item orders. The last workflow I'm going to take you through is multi-item orders. So orders that contain either several different SKUs or potentially more than one quantity of a certain SKU. And for this, we've developed a new type of wave called a pick-to-tote wave. And the idea here is that you would have a trolley which is covered in totes, or sort of something which is labeled. It could even just be cardboard boxes with labels on them. We've seen customers use that. It's just a cheaper way to get going. But basically, as you go through and pick these orders, you pick them into individual totes. So when you pick the first item for an order, you tell it, oh, I'm using this tote by scanning the barcode on it. And then for all subsequent items for that order, the system prompts you to put it into the same tote. And the reason why this is efficient is that you're effectively doing your sorting process at the same time that you are picking. And then when you come back to do your packing process, you just scan the tote. It will bring up the order that's currently stored in that tote, and then you can just go through and do that packing step. So I'll take you through that now. So again, wave picks. I'm just going to add a new wave pick. I'll do it for the coffee company again. This time I want to choose a pick to tote type wave, so I'll choose that here. And if I wanted to limit this to just orders that contain, say, more than one item, I can do that here as well. So I can choose SKU count of two or more, basically, and search for that. And it brings up these three orders for me to go and pick. Now, something else that we've just introduced too is the ability to be able to add waves from the mobile app. And the way that that works is we have these things called pre-fill templates, which basically save all of the settings that I've got loaded down here, and turn that into a template that I can just reuse. And I can reuse that from the mobile app. So I'm just going to quickly save this and I'll call it oh, coffee company multi-item orders. Save that. And now on the mobile app, if I tap on this little plus icon up here and tap on that, and it gives me in this pre-fill templates, I can choose from that template now. So I'll choose that one. And it shows me straight away, hey, you've got 3 orders available for using with this pre-filled template. This box down here where it says maximum number of sales orders, we have that so that if you, let's say that you had, I don't know, 400 orders which needed to be picked, you can actually limit how many are going to go onto this wave, say to match how many totes you've got on your trolley or how many boxes you've got that you can pick into. We typically see configurations of sort of anywhere from 15 to about 30 totes on a trolley. It depends obviously on the size of the items because you can get different sized totes to pick sort of different sized items. But this limits in here so that you can prevent having more orders than you have totes on a trolley. So I'm just going to hit create on the mobile app and just generate that wave for me. And it's just gone and built that and then just taken me straight into the wave as well. So I'll now go through the picking process on here. And this is where we have quite a new interface. So this is our pick to tote interface. And what you can see here is it's similar to the other wave picks initially. So I have my location. I have which product I'm picking from that location, how many I'm picking from that location, and also how many orders are requiring this product from this location as well. So if I go into this first one, I'll just tap into it. The first thing that I can see here is obviously the product details, including its batch number and things, how many I need in total. But then down here, it's got my 2 different orders. So this first order for Third Base Cafe in Palm Beach, it's saying it doesn't yet have a tote. So the first thing that I need to do is actually just tell it which tote I'm using. So I would then go and scan a barcode on one of these totes. So I'm going to scan this barcode I've got here, one yellow one. Oh, hold on a second. Cool. Now just with this, I think I just got a missed scan there. I wasn't quite centered across the barcode that I scanned. So it scanned that one. And now I can just go and scan this product as well to basically say, hey, I've put that product into that tote. And that confirms that I've now assigned this tote. Oh, sorry, it was a yellow tote. So let's just say it's this one here. I've assigned this yellow tote to the Third Base Cafe order. And I've now gone and put one of these Brazil roast items into that tote as well. I've now got another order which is also requiring the same product from the same location. And so again, I can scan some other totes. So in this case, I'm going to scan a green tote, scan that one. And then I can go and scan the product as well. If you don't have the ability to scan the products, you can also just tap into them. So if I just tap here on the screen, it just brings me into the quantity confirmation screen here as well. I can then just increment the quantity using these buttons and hit confirm. So that's done, and it's taken me back to the list. So I'll just move through the rest of these. If I go into these Aussie blend beans, in this example, this is going to the same order, this Third Base Cafe. So it's already prompted me that I need to put it into the tote one yellow one. And if I try and scan a different tote, it's going to give me an error and say that I can't do that. But I'll just scan that same tote, so one yellow one, and then I'll scan the Aussie blend beans as well. So scan that twice. Cool, that's finished. Go to the Costa Rica. This is a new order that I previously haven't picked anything for, so it's asking me to please put this into a new tote. So I'm going to scan a different green tote, let's say this one here. So I'll scan that. Just a thing too, we've chosen this naming convention to be the first number is the trolley number. So this would be trolley number 1. We've then said what color the tote is. And then the last one is sort of it's the green number 5 tote on this. And generally you would have these kind of in lines of the different colors. So you might have like all of your red across the top, all of your green through the middle, all of your blue at the bottom, and then work through them that way. You can change this naming convention to whatever you want. This is just how it sort of defaults in terms of, expecting totes to be named like this. So again, I'll scan the Costa Rica. That goes through, and I'll just deal with this last one as well. I've got 2 different orders here that both require it. Something else too, you can scan the product and the tote in either order. So I don't have to scan the tote first. I can scan the product first, as I'll show you here. And then, oh, sorry, I just scanned the tote rather than the product. I'll just go back into there. If I scan the product first, so the Aussie blend beans, it sort of goes into this translucent thing saying like, yeah, you've told me that you've picked this into that tote, but I still need you to confirm the tote. So you can do that in either order that you want. And I'll do this for the other one as well. 1 green 2 and the Aussie blend beans. Fantastic. All right, so that's my whole wave. That's all been picked. Complete the pick. And now I want to continue to packing. So go through to there. As I showed before, with the packing process, you can go through these and basically reconfirm the items if you want to. However, you don't have to do that. So what you can do here, and there's a setting that you can enable in the organization settings that enables you to bypass having to rescan and reconfirm these items at the pack stage. And we've seen some customers who want this behavior because they've said, well, we've already scanned everything into these totes. We don't really want to take the time to have to rescan them all at the packing bench again. Maybe they'll just do sort of a quick look at them to make sure that they're the right product. But basically, they just want to skip that process. So if you have that setting turned on, you can just hit this finish packing button. It then says like, hey, you haven't checked everything off. Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I want to finish packing. And then basically, because I'm bypassing this process, it's just asking me if I want to confirm that. So I want to say, yeah, and just finish this. And that just makes it a faster way if you don't want your staff to have to revalidate those things at the pack stage as well. Again, brought up to the screen, I can print my labels or I can just close this, move on to my next order. In this case here, I'll just scan these products so that you can see the process. Obviously, it doesn't require me to confirm a whole lot of stuff if I've scanned everything because I've done the required steps. Print my labels, go out of that, move into my last order, scan Brazil roast, scan the Aussie blend. Whoops. Cool. And finish packing. Awesome. And complete the wave. So that's the process for dealing with these multi-item orders. Something that we're working on at the moment is a revised pack screen. So at the moment, you can pack these orders on the mobile app. That works fine. Something that we're introducing is the ability from a desktop computer to scan the tote, brings it up, and then you can basically, if you want to, rescan those items into the different consignment items. We'll have built-in carrier selection where the rates and that kind of thing are coming from your shipping aggregator. So that could be from Starship It or MarkShip or ShipStation, any of those products. You can select between the different rates, print your labels from here, and mark the order packed as well. Okay, so in summary, e-commerce, it really requires high efficiency. There's different workflows to suit the different order profiles. So if you're dealing with identical orders, we recommend using split pick and pack, and then you bypass the packing stage and just bulk print the labels. With single item orders, we recommend using split pick and pack, and then that pack by SKU method that I showed, where you basically scan the item and then it brings up the order that requires it. For multi-item orders, we recommend pick to tote, as I just went through at the end. And of course, we're here to help you with this. So if you need further assistance, you've also got access to our knowledge base, which has all the information in it about how these various things can be enabled and how they work. We have our CartonCloud Academy, which is effectively like guided learning through each of our different modules. One of the modules, for example, is pick to tote that takes you through how to set it up, how to use it, etc. We have our support staff, and also we have our 6 monthly health checks. So this is where our staff proactively reach out to you to sort of check how you're going, whether there's anything we can assist you with, that kind of thing. Basically, just to make sure that you're getting the most possible value out of the product. And with that, if there's any questions, more than happy to answer them. So um, there's the ability in Zoom to just raise your hand if you want, and then I can sort of enable it so that you can just speak if you would like. You're also welcome to type your questions into the Q&A box if you want.
I just want to check where in the knowledge base are located these sessions. Just that.
Oh, like this webinar.
Yeah.
So this particular webinar, we will be, I think, uploading it to YouTube and then just sending out a link to everyone who attended. We will we will probably look to put it into like an e-commerce specific knowledge base page, but we haven't 100% decided where to put it yet. This is the first webinar we've run for several years, and we're looking to try and run these quarterly going forward. So we just really haven't had any kind of group webinars for quite a while.
Well, this is fantastic. Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. Well, thanks for taking the time to attend. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, please reach out to us. We're here to try and help. We'd love to see you all, using this stuff in your business and really getting some of these efficiencies. So thank you.